woman, Black women building wealth. We are taking over your airwaves. This is the Melanated Air Hour, and we, not just me, we, all these melanated sisters that are with me, are going to have a dope conversation with you today about the millions of people that are quitting their jobs and why. But before we get into that, I want to go around the room and let each individual introduce themselves so that you can get to know us. This is our second Melanated Air Hour. So I want to just make sure that you guys have the opportunity to get to know us, who we are, what we represent, why we're here, and then we're going to jump into this conversation about why so many people are quitting their jobs, because we have a perspective on this. So we'll go around the room. We'll start with Teddy and then just kind of go around the room.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Melanated Air. I'm Teddy Ewing on YouTube, The Real Teddy Talks, everywhere else. I discuss financial freedom through leaving your traditional 9 to 5. I also talk about entrepreneurship, hustle and grind, building generational wealth, and cryptocurrency. So check me out on any of those social media platforms. I am so glad to be here and bring y'all this topic. I can't wait to dig in and get started.
Yes. Go ahead, Ms. Keisha.
Hello. What's up, everybody? My name is Keisha Ravenel at We Inspire Brand on Instagram, at Keisha Ravenel on YouTube, and I sell inspirational apparel, and I teach new and aspiring t-shirt business owners how to start their own brand in order to make an extra stream of income.
Awesome sauce, Miss Faye.
Hi, everybody. I am Miss Faye Bishop. I am at Miss Faye Bishop on Twitter. I am Faye Bishop across all of your other platforms, such as Instagram and Facebook. I am the author of the book Make Money Make Sense, which is a how-to guide on how to build your own WordPress website in 10 minutes or less and how to monetize it. And also you can follow me at Lead Casting Call, which is the #1 entertainment job source for those who are looking for jobs in entertainment, both in front of and behind the camera.
And we have Madam President coming in. What's good, ma'am?
Hey, guys. I am Madam President. As you can always find me, one Madam President, and I am the owner of the Freedom Company, where empowerment and faith is more than threads. I'm glad to be a part of this wonderful panel today.
Awesome sauce. And I'm your girl, Agent Betsy, I'm founder of Scouting of War. And we're going to continue our conversation I started in June, where we talked about all these millions and millions of people that have been quitting their jobs, right? Initially, when we saw that it was presented as like people were quitting their jobs like right now. But when I did the research, we saw that over the last 2 years, people have been quitting their jobs at alarming rates. And I thought that, it was a single conversation that we had in June and it was done. But no, ma'am, here we are in September. And this is, I believe, let me see what the article says. I don't want to be lying to y'all in your faces. The article says that another 4 million workers quit for the 4th month in a row. And it shows how Americans are rethinking work in a way they haven't in decades. So I kind of talked about this a little bit. A lot of people are saying, take this job and shove it. They like working from home. They like flexibility. They don't want to have to come into work. They like being able to take their kids to school in the morning. They like teaching their kids from home. Some of them don't. Some folks got bad kids. They don't want to teach their kids at home. But for the most part, people are saying, I'm looking at work in a different way. And millions of workers have decided that they want to quit their jobs. I'm going to start this conversation with Keisha because shout out to Keisha and congratulations, Keisha. She just told her employer that they could take this job and shove it.
Yes, I did.
Entrepreneur.
Thank you. Out of there.
What inspired you to check your corporate job and become an entrepreneur?
Okay. So a lot of people think that this was like a spontaneous decision, but honestly, I've been planning to quit my job for 2 years. So it wasn't something that I just said, oh, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. Like I'm out next week. It wasn't that. So I planned to quit my job back in 2019 because I just didn't want to do it anymore. Like I am an entrepreneur. I've always been an entrepreneur at spirit. I always love coming up with new business ideas and just working for myself. I hated when I had a supervisor like, oh, do this, do that. And I'm like, listen, don't tell me what to do. Like, you're not my mother. So, 2 years ago, I was just like, you know what, it's time. And then in 2020, when I planned to do it, COVID hit. So I was just like, ooh, that kind of put a wrench in my plan. So I said, all right, I got to stick this out for a little bit longer. And then, I was saving like a mad woman during COVID because where was I going? So I was saving, I was investing in the stock market. I was making sure I was putting money into my retirement. And, I was like, all right, like this is my emergency. So at any moment I can go and I know I'm going to be okay. So for me, it really was, I don't want to do this anymore. And what I was doing, I was in higher education and I was the associate director of career development. So I was helping my students find internships and employment opportunities. And it just didn't align with what I wanted to do. Like I wanted to help people start businesses. So that's what I did. That's what I started doing, and since then, I'm like, okay, I'm doing this. I'm helping people start their t-shirt business. So I don't really want to do, my 9 to 5 anymore. And then it was, something else that kind of sped up the process for me leaving, but I'll leave that for later on in the conversation.
So let me ask this. The question I want to ask and anyone can take this question is, do you think now is a good time to quit your job? 4 million. Let me read these stats because I want people to understand how many people are quitting their jobs. So it said 4 million people for the fourth month in a row. But it says a record number of workers quit their jobs in July again. Right? Data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, job openings and labor turnover summary released Wednesday showed that workers were still reconsidering and leaving work in mass, even as job openings reached a record high. In July, 3.98 million workers quit their jobs, an increase from 3.87 million in June. That came in slightly below April's record-breaking 3.99 million quits, the highest level since the Bureau began tracking the data in 2000. So this is the highest trend in people quitting their jobs, not being fired, not being laid off, quitting their jobs. At least 3.6 million workers have quit their jobs each month for 1/3 of the year. It's a quitting trend unlike anything seen in at least the past 2 decades. And it could signal that 2021 will be filled with employers scrambling to hire people who are rethinking what they want out of work and acting on it. Now, I'm not giving any unemployment numbers or any what job openings are out there, but this is a lot of people that are quitting their jobs at one time. Yeah. What does that mean? Is it good for the world? Is it good for businesses? Like, what do you guys think about this mass exodus from corporate America?
Well, I think that the people in general, because I've seen a few things like I think it was some fast food restaurants were trying to get people to work. They basically said new iPhone first week, of the hire, or an extra $500 signing bonus at McDonald's or something like that. Wow. But I think what's happening is people are understanding that you cannot work your way out of poverty. I think people are coming to terms that what the job is offering is no longer beneficial. We are still living in a time where, I think back in the day, people were like getting benefits and getting good health care. They had a place that they could retire. But all of that stuff has taken a shift. People literally, it's taking a longer time to become established in careers. That means that people are constantly going into the same cycle of entry level after year after year after year. Not to mention, people are over, the Black woman is the highest educated and the least compensated. And she is the highest entrepreneur here in America. Therefore, if anybody is walking off the gig, it should be the Black woman. She's to her senses. She's saying, no, thank you. I've survived this pandemic. And guess what? I have a momentum and I'm going to keep moving with this momentum. So kudos to all of the Black women who have decided enough is enough.
Seriously.
I definitely think I think that there has to be. I hate to lump people in two groups. But there's two groups. There's people that are leaving with a plan and leaving, like Madam President just said. They're just like, I don't have to do this. I don't have to do this. I can take a break for 3 months and end up right back where I was 3 months ago, and I'm good, right? I can still live. So that's my concern: is who's leading with the plan and who's just like, forget it, I'll figure it out. Or there are some other type of assistance, and that assistance, that government assistance, unemployment, whatever other benefits, the PPP loans or whatever it is, you know, I honestly believe, I'm kind of a conspiracy theorist, and I think they're trying to draw us in. They're trying to draw you into this false sense of security just to pull the rug out from under you, you know? So I'm concerned, but we have to know that people are fed up. They're like, obviously you can do it without me in the office. Obviously you can do it with less people than you've been doing it. So why are you putting so much stress on me when there's other opportunities out there and they're exploring? So I'm all about the exploration. I just hope they got an action plan that goes along with that exploration.
Right.
Well, what I think has happened, especially since you mentioned that this has been taking place now, what it sounds like for the past X amount of years, I think there's a lot more competition that has opened up since the expansion of the market. And what I mean by that is you have a lot more jobs in technology opening up. There is the, not just technology, but just STEM overall. So there's a lot of opportunity for growth in that area, in that industry. But also in addition to that, the growth of the 1099, as I like to call it, the independent contractor jobs. You have many companies such as your DoorDash, your Ubers, and some of your streaming companies that are opening up opportunities for a lot of people, to where it's kind of taking us out of those traditional 40-hour work week behind the desk in front of the computer and laboring kind of industrialized jobs. And it's kind of creating sort of this balance where you can work remote with your phone, or you can work from home, or honestly, you can work in an airplane, 20,000 feet in the air. And with the power of employers that I think was established during the FDR phase, where it kind of, that typical 9 to 5, you worked at a job, you signed in under a union, you died at that job. That no longer happens anymore in corporate America. Nobody gets a job, and many of these companies aren't keeping you or keeping any of the talent longer than about 10 years. So I think this has allowed the opening and the expansion of the market. It's allowing people to exercise their options. American workers are re-examining some priorities, including the way they see themselves as workers. You have the current climate, obviously, with the lockdowns that have placed people into like a lot of uncomfortable and precarious situations. And what it's done, honestly, is it's made a lot of people reassess how happy they really are with their jobs. And many of them are realizing that their current job is not the one that they really want.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because, you come out of college, or if you go to college, maybe you went to college, maybe you didn't, but you go into working, doing what needs to be done, not necessarily what you want to do. You don't always get to just jump out into the real world and follow your dreams and follow your heart. You have a family, you get married, you got to pay the bills. And then you get to this point in your life where you're like, it's time for me to do what I want to do, especially with COVID and the pandemic and people losing their jobs, being at home. You really get to see what you're made of. I will tell, and I don't like to boast or brag, but I tell people all the time, I have had the most amazing business year during this pandemic. If I was not an entrepreneur and I had a job, I would have chucked my job too, because I'm not going to talk about money, but I'll say it's been the most blessed year. And I don't like to talk about it because I know other people have had trying circumstances and difficult situations, but out of turmoil, baby, you get to find out what you're made of. You get to look at your passion. You get to look at your purpose. You have time to strategize. If you was collecting that little unemployment check, you got a bonus. So people are out here building their dreams, saving, investing, really getting into what they're passionate about, what their purpose could be that they didn't have time to invest in because they were working a full-time job. And so this pandemic, for some, again, I don't take anything away from anybody who it was traumatic to, or it destroyed, or you lost someone. Definitely don't want to minimize that. But I believe people are looking at this time as a reset, a time of rebirth. But I think what Teddy said is really important. You have a lot of people quitting their jobs. Are they prepared? Do they really know what comes next? Are they, so one of the articles I read said some people were quitting their jobs because they wanted to go back to school and get education. You know, you got YouTube University now. People are hiring based on what you know, not necessarily the skills that you have and or the school that you went to. They want to know, can you do the job? People were quitting. For a lot of people, even like in this thread, you'll see people are quitting to pursue entrepreneur endeavors. You have some people who are just quitting the jobs. They have no idea what they're going to do next. They just know that they don't want to be stuck in that rut. What would you guys recommend for someone who's thinking, you know what, I do want to leave my job. I do want to quit my job. I want to be in this mass exodus too. What does preparation look like for somebody who has quit their job and they're trying to get into entrepreneurship or think about what comes next?
Well, the one thing, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut anybody off. Did I cut anybody off?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Well, the one thing I was going to say is, you know, I do like our sister said, like some people are being spontaneous, right? So there isn't a lot of preparation. So I think like from a mental standpoint, you have to start understanding that now you're working for yourself. You're going to have to work even harder. So the one thing that people don't remember oftentimes is when you work for a company, you usually are working from 9 to 6. But when you're working as an entrepreneur, you'll find yourself working at 2 a.m. to 6 p.m. Then you'll take a nap and you edit again from noon to 4. You're like, oh my God, what did I just do? You know, it's triple the time when you're doing entrepreneurship work. But most of all, you have to be, a lot of times I think what we hold on to in employment is our comfort zone of things, right? So you have to start to lose the idea of things. Like if you're so attached to all of the things that you have, you're going to be stressed out because you're going to be doing anything to hold on to it. If you're really truly walking into a life of passion and a life of turning your dreams inside out, you just got to be willing to be bare with it. You know, like this is what I believe in. This is what I want. I think Nicole Bitchy, I have been blogging for a while. I'm not a multimillionaire in it because I didn't do what most people did, and that is stay consistent. I was always on and off, right? So Dr. Boyce was telling me during this time, or maybe around 2008, he says, you know, if you want this thing, you got to stay consistent. And during the time, I'm just like, I just don't see the value in it, you know, and all I want to say is some of the women that were very consistent, Nicole Bitchy, I think I cited at the time, she sold it for multi-million, for millions of dollars, and signed it over to, I can't remember his name, but my point is, if you believe in it, and she said that she slept on her auntie's couch and her auntie made life uncomfortable, but she just believed in that thing and she did not give up on it. So that's one of the things that I say that people have to be prepared to. It's the mindset. Prepare yourself to be bare with your dream.
Yes, I agree. And I feel like with that, you have to determine your purpose, right? Like, what is your deeper why? Because that is going to allow you to be consistent. That is going to allow you to go for it and continue to do it even when things get hard. Because entrepreneurship is not this like, ooh, like whimsical, like, yeah, like, I'm an entrepreneur. It's not like that. You know, like some moments are like that and it's great. But then you do have those moments where you hit those bumps in the road and you're like, what the hell am I doing? Like, why did I quit my job? And like Chanel said, I feel like the job is some people's comfort zone. You know, for me, it was definitely a comfort zone for a couple of years, even within this year where I had the funds to quit, right? I was just like, I could quit any day, but it was that comfort zone because I knew that it was steady income coming in. I knew every 2 weeks what I was getting, how much I was getting, and that wasn't going to change. So in order for you to be this full-time entrepreneur, I say, like Chanel said, be consistent, determine that deeper purpose so that you always have that to look back on, and get you some type of coach or mentor or something. Like, truly invest in yourself. Like, don't feel that you have to figure everything out on your own, because truly, and I know that we've all heard this term, if you want to, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together, right? That's one of my favorite quotes, because you need a support system. You need people that's going to help you. You need people that have been where you are that can, help you get there faster than you would get if you tried to do it alone. So I just encourage everyone, don't try to do it on your own. It's going to make things harder for you. It's going to be a lot of time wasted, a lot of money wasted, and a lot of headaches.
Okay.
And I definitely think, just from a money perspective, as I talk money very blatantly, you got to cut your expenses. I'm not even worried about income. I'm worried about expenses. So if you out here, I think it's extremes in our community. Either people have a very supportive family community, or they almost don't have anyone, right? So if you have a supportive community, family, close friends like family, if you can sleep on somebody's couch, stay in their extra room, stay in the basement, if you can sell your car, if you can do all these things, if you're still paying for it, like, to cut your expenses, the world is your oyster. That is what keeps us chained, is how we spend money, not how much money we make. Someone making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year can easily be a millionaire in decades, right? In a decade, if they're saving and investing most of their money. But it's our spending habits. It's our leveling up every time we get a raise. It's our leveling up every time we get a better job that keeps us chained to that corporate plantation, as Dr. Watkins says. So cut your expenses, and then you can do whatever you want, whenever you want. That is the key.
Love that.
That's excellent.
It is very excellent advice, ladies. What I feel is that even if you haven't, as of yet, quit your job, it is very extremely important to, especially in the 21st century, try to acquire more than one stream of income. That's whether you're working, whether you just want to quit, or whether you've decided to forgo, the corporate plantation altogether, and you want to work for yourself. Even when you work for yourself, there should still be steady streams of income coming in. I know the recommended amount is 3. I suggest 5 personally, but that's just me. But it should always be more than 1. That way, as you make your adjustment from the corporate plantation or the workforce into becoming an entrepreneur, small business owner, and working for yourself, there's still some income coming in to cover you and to take care of yourself and your family, because the long-term effects of this epidemic of quitting, per se, that has, it's difficult to predict, I feel like, right now, but what most economists do believe is that the effects of this will be positive in the long term. Why? Because not only will this afford people the possibility to gain new skills and gain new experience and expound and work in a world and in an industry where they've always wanted to work, but it will have a long-term sustainability effect on the economy as well. And it's also going to force a shift in the overall labor market to improve on equality and an overall better workforce in terms of their hiring practice. So I see this as a positive. Economists see this as a positive. What I recommend for everyone, whether you're working the 9 to 5 or not, whether you're deciding to quit, again, make sure you try to acquire more than one stream of income.
Yes. I agree, Faye. I think this is going to force employers to not be so rigid, right? To focus on their employees and employees' mental health and work-life balance. Because if their employees are quitting, not by the millions Americans are quitting, it's time for a change, So it can't be you're working your employees to death. It has to be, okay, now I have to listen to what they have to say. I have to listen, okay, they need more vacation time. They need better health care. They need, maybe a different schedule. Maybe 9 to 5 doesn't work for everyone. Maybe someone needs a 12 to 8, right? Or 1 to 9. So I think it's going to force them out of this rigid and traditional way of thinking that everything has to be the way it's always been.
Absolutely.
That's a good point. Sorry, I'm writing down my note. I think and what I'll add to what Faye was saying is be competitive. Like if you're going to quit your job for whatever reason, right? To become an entrepreneur or to get a better job or to go back to school, whatever the case might be competitive. Be competitive in the type of business that you start. Like we have more than enough barbershops, beauty shops, chicken wing spots. We have more than enough of those types of businesses. So be competitive. If 4 million people are quitting their jobs, that is leaving huge holes in the marketplace. Start a different type of a business, right? Be contract, like Faye was saying, 1099 with the business that you left. Think outside the box. Think about the trends. Get more education. I think Keisha's talking about getting a coach or a mentor. Like, don't just exit your job without thinking about what comes next, because you have knowledge, you have skills, you have connections, you have tools, you have resources, and all of those things are what can make you a better entrepreneur. So you want to be thinking about those things, because everyone at any given moment in the way that employment is set up right now may be faced with making that decision to quit their job. Why is that? Because we're watching the news and we're seeing that in this pandemic, during this COVID time, employers are putting employees into a position where they have to make that decision of quitting their job or getting vaccinated. So we're at this place now where even if you're not thinking about quitting or leaving your job, it may be something that you have to think about. And so if that's something you have to think about, then you need to start thinking about that today. Am I equipped? Am I prepared? If I am put in a position where I either have to get vaccinated or I have to leave my job, do I have the tools necessary that I need? Do I have the network necessary that I need? Do I have the business structure necessary that I need in order to take care of my family, in order to bring revenue in? Keisha, did you do the church finger?
I was just saying that was me. I was forced into a position where it was, you have to get vaccinated, and I didn't feel comfortable getting vaccinated. So I left, and I was going to leave anyway. I had planned on leaving anyway, but them telling me, oh, well, this is a mandate and you need this in order to continue working here. That was kind of like my sign. That was my exit. I was just like, oh, like this is my chance to go out there and do what I wanted to do for so long. So for 2 years, like I said, I had this comfort zone, right? Where it's just like, oh, I'm still here. I'm getting paid. I'm working from home. It's great. And then boom, vaccine mandate. And I don't want to say I'm like anti-vaccine or anything. I really am pro-choice. You do whatever you want to do. You do what's best for you as an individual, what's best for your family. For me, I didn't feel it was best for me at this moment. So I said, well, I'm definitely not going to do it for a job that I don't want to work at anyway. So here's my time, So I agree. These mandates are forcing people now to make a decision. Okay, do I choose my body, my, what I believe in, or do I choose my work, my money, and I feel like it's a really, really tough predicament that these jobs and, America is putting people in.
And we have to ask ourselves, do we want to give up our freedom for it? That's the personal, sometimes for people, it's not even about the vaccine. It's about the lack of will and freedom. And that's why I'm a big options person. I think I said it in our last one and I say it again. You need to have options. You don't ever want to be backed so far into a corner that someone's going to tell you what to do with your body against your will, and you feel obligated to concede because you haven't left yourself any options.
Yes.
So, we have to empower ourselves. We have to educate ourselves. We have to network ourselves. Because if you have a community of people that you can network with, and if you have to leave that job and go to something else or try to kick in that side hustle, whatever it is, if you're around people that are like-minded and even smarter than you and know things a little better than you, and you can use them as mentors, you can pull tidbits of information from them and grow yourself, right? Are you being challenged right now in your life so that you can make the decision later on to say, you know what, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to let you take away my freedom of choice. And that freedom of choice falls into so many different categories. I mean, you go back to slavery when we didn't have any choice. You go back to pre-slavery time when we were being pulled from Africa for various reasons and various conspiracies that were getting us here. And those people didn't have choice. And now we feel so free, but are we free? I mean, Texas and the abortion law. I mean, I know there's like a lot of hot button topics we're talking about, but where is the freedom? Like, is enough enough? We have to draw the line. You have to draw the line and say enough is enough.
Can I just?
Oh, go ahead. No.
I was going to let everyone in on a bit of a secret, particularly as it pertains to that question of freedom and quitting our jobs. Did you guys know, and I'm sure many people already knew this, but it's something that I learned 10 years ago. Just because you quit the job doesn't necessarily mean you quit the company. If you own shares in that company, you're still going to get paid from that company. You're going to collect a dividend check every quarter. So I always highly recommend that whatever company you work for, especially if it's on the corporate plantation or even in pharmaceuticals or whatever industry you in, if that company sells stock, buy into the stock of the company. That way, even if you decide to leave, that's an extra form of income that you'll have coming in quarterly from that company or even monthly, depending on how they pay out the dividend. I've been doing this since I was 26 years old. Bank of America, which was actually the first company I worked for when I started working in finance, I still collect dividend checks from them. And I haven't worked for that company now in over 17 years. So buy shares into the company that you work for. That way, that can be that extra stream of income that I was speaking of a few moments ago that you'll be able to continue to collect in case you decide to make the decision to quit. Because what's going on right now in America, a lot of people are backed into a corner. And it does have us questioning freedoms. I think for the most part, the overwhelming majority are not anti-vaccination. That's my personal opinion. I think what they are is anti-mandate. They're anti-mandate. They're not anti-vaccination. So the question is, how did we go from 14 days to slow the spread to 1 shot, 2 shot, 3, never mind, you'll need 3. Take them now or you and your family can't eat. Do you know what I'm saying? And if it's really this question of safety, because I know that that's really the nucleus of this conversation about the pandemic and the vaccinations, if it's a question about big safety, they haven't really done a good job of proving that any of these measures work, that they're effective, but also, are they sustainable in the long term? 2 to 3 years from now, are we still going to be having this conversation where people are now questioning or wondering, God, am I going to have to quit my job again because they're making us get the shot again? If I don't get the shot again, and it's now 2024, 2025. And that's the part for me personally that frightens me most, because I think that's the part that's going to impact us long term, especially the small business owners and the kids. And so many of us, and Black people especially, who are the most vulnerable, among the most vulnerable communities out here, because it's the little people who are losing right now. It's not anyone else.
She said it's the little, say that again, it's the little people that are losing right now, not anybody else.
Not anyone else.
And I would be interested to see the statistics. This is the PhD in me now that I do this research. I would be interested in seeing the statistics of these 4 million plus people each month that are quitting their jobs. I would be interested in seeing the statistics of how many of those individuals are African American or Black people. Like how many Black people are actually walking away from their jobs, and why? What for? Because the article, we were seeing this mad exodus, and we know that people are quitting, but we don't know why, right? So we can't, we're not, so just, for the trolls and the YouTube and all those, we're not saying that people are quitting their job because of COVID. That's not what we're saying. We know that this has been an ongoing thing, right? And it wasn't pandemic related. They've been seeing this trend for the last 2 years. It's just at its peak right now because we've been given the opportunity to be home and see, oh, I can work from home. Oh, this does feel good. Oh, I can make my own money. And then you add in the measure of, well, you can come back to work, but you have to get the vaccine. And now so it's multiple reasons, multiple layers to why people are quitting their job. But as Black people and as a Black community, what we here at Melanated Air want to do is make sure that you are prepared in case you have to quit. We want to make sure that you know what entrepreneurship looks like. We want to make sure that you are properly positioned, that you have additional revenue streams, that you know how to invest, that you know crypto, that you know how to start a t-shirt company if you need to. That you just want to make sure that you have the necessary tools and ideology and mindset and thought process to think about, should it come to me in my life and my family having to join this mass exodus from corporate America, am I prepared? Do I know what to do? Am I properly positioned? Have I thought this through? I forget who said it, a lot of people are not necessarily anti-vaccination, but they are pro-choice. Like, I want to choose whether or not I get this done. And it's unfortunate they were put in the position of, I either can have a job and take care of my family and pay my bills, or I can be having my own, or I can have free choice and tell you that I don't want to have this in my body.
But Lene, let me say, we as people, we as women, we as Black women, we as everything we are, we forget how freaking powerful we are. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. If everybody says, no, I want freedom of choice. I've been seeing on the news in a lot of these other countries in Europe, they are rioting. Like Paris, London, they are saying, hell no. Y'all, it ain't even about the vaccine, it's about the freedom. So if you stand up and say no, what are they gonna do? You know what I mean? We have the power. We have I hate this expression when people say, ain't no way I could have been a slave. I could have been enslaved. Ain't no way I could have been enslaved because I would have done X, Y, and Z. Did you get the vaccine? And if you ask people if they got the vaccine, it's usually not because if they did get it, it's not because they believed in it and they wanted to be healthy. It was because they had to. Either they didn't want their friends to think some way of them. They didn't want their job to fire them. They didn't want it to look funny. They were in their social circles and didn't want to be the only one who didn't, X, Y, and Z. So ask yourself, is this the moment where you have to stand up for something in mass or in a group and say, no, I want to keep my choice? And how far are you willing to go to stand behind that decision?
I agree, Teddy, and I feel that whether you're vaccinated or not, we should be standing with each other, because for the pro-vax people, they feel like, no, well, everyone should get it, but everyone doesn't think like you, and you should be okay with that. You should be okay with saying, I respect your choice. I respect that you did what was best for you and your body. And another thing that I'm not seeing or hearing is pro-vax people, or I don't want to say everybody, but a lot of pro-vax people, I know a lot of pro-vax people, they're talking about get the vaccine, but we're not talking about like healthcare, right? We're not talking about how to take care of our bodies, because that prevents the vaccine. I mean, that prevents COVID as well. So we're not talking about eating healthy. We're not talking about going to the gym. And to be honest, here in New York City, you can't step foot in a gym if you're not vaccinated. And I said, wait a second, you can't step foot in a gym. I thought it was all about being healthy, right? So it's mind blowing to me that it's like we're not having those type of conversations. So it's like, okay, you don't want to get the vaccine. What are you doing to ensure that you are healthy, that you're not, catching COVID and then going on to spread it? So the conversation, I feel like, yes, we need to stand together. And then we also need to have the bigger conversation about what are you doing to ensure you remain healthy?
And so, you know what, Faye, and we'll end on this question to respect everybody's time. Faye talked about the vaccine. We've talked about businesses, and she brought up a point on how people leaving their jobs. We talked about, how that can be relative to getting the vaccine, but then how that impacts and affects small businesses. Can you elaborate on that, Faye, and how you see this evolution affecting businesses?
I feel like one of the things that lets me know that this was no longer, I'm trying to tread carefully here with what I say, isn't necessarily just about being safe. It's about control, is the fact that what's going on isn't being left up to our doctors. It's not being left up to our primary care physicians. It's not being left up to our pediatricians and those who examine our health. It's being left up to the government. For whatever the reasons, the government feel as though that they are now, politicians feel as though they're now qualified to tell you about your own health and what's good for you and your health than your own doctor is. And it leaves me questioning who's going to lose on the losing end of all this. It's the small business owner. It is the vulnerable communities, and Black people are the most vulnerable community. Our children are among the most vulnerable. And this takes it back to an earlier point that Teddy said earlier about, are they trying to reel us in to snatch the rug out from under us? Do they want the small business owner to lose? Because we are the ones who are being most impacted by this pandemic. The small business owners. It's not the Jeff Bezos of the world. It's not Silicon Valley. It's not Mark Zuckerberg. It's not Jack Dorsey. It's not the Waltons. Okay, Walmart, Target, and all of those stores were allowed to stay open during the biggest lockdown in the history of our nation, but the small businessman had to close. And I think that that's something that everyone should really take into consideration, because again, we're not at the end of this, and we don't know what the long-term effects of this is going to be. And that's why I encourage everybody to invest as much as they can and try to think about how this will impact your family and think long term. Don't just look at what's in front of you on the feeds, and don't just look at what they're showing you up and on your local news station every day, because they're going to tell you, they're going to make it seem like it's doom and gloom. Think about, especially if you're a small business owner, especially if you're an American worker, think about how this is going to impact your family long term, because it definitely is. And you're among the little people. We are. None of us are. We don't own Walmart. We don't own Amazon. We didn't start Netflix. You know what I mean? But you can be an investor in the company. You can buy a share in the company. You can do something that helps you to sustain in the long term, because we will be impacted, and there's going to be such a devastating loss behind this that scares the crap out of me. It's not even the virus that scares me more than that.
So when you read the headlines and you see 4 million people are leaving their jobs, quitting. 4 million people are quitting their jobs at record numbers. We haven't seen anything like this in 20 years. You want to make sure that you are thinking about, if you're one of those people that are quitting, that want to quit your job, and small businesses are being impacted through this pandemic because so many people are quitting their jobs and the small businesses have to be closed. You want to rethink everything based on what we talked about earlier. You want to be competitive. You want to make sure that you have a plan. You want to make sure that you think about revenue and have more than one revenue stream, various income opportunities. I forgot what some of the other things were, but in closing, I'm going to go around the room and just kind of let everybody have a final thought that will help us in our community. If somebody is thinking about quitting their job, or if you have quit your job, or if you've been let off, or if you refuse to be vaccinated, and you are now in a position where you have to potentially look at entrepreneurship or going into a new endeavor or a new field, what does that look like for you? Because if you leave your job to become an entrepreneur or small business owner, and small business owners and entrepreneurs are taking the biggest hit, there are things that you want to know, things, positions that you want to be in, opportunities that you want to make sure that you create before that happens, right? Or if you're already in that situation, these are things that you can still do. So I'll do a final around the room of a final thought that can help our community be better positioned should they find themselves being one of these 4 million plus people that are quitting their jobs.
I'll just say definitely step into courage, step into yourself, step into faith in yourself. Believe in yourself. Believe that you are the master of your fate and you can make that thing happen. You have to think about the money side. You got to think about the health side. You have to think about the future. Find the holes. What holes are being created because of this pandemic, because of this mass exodus from the corporate workplace, because of X, Y, and Z? And you fill that hole and you will have income.
Nice.
Yeah. And I would just like to leave, get out of the scarcity mindset. So there's a difference between spending versus investing. And I know a lot of people that are new or aspiring entrepreneurs, they see coaches, they see mentors, they see courses, and they're like, I'm not paying for that. I'm not doing that. That's too much money. But they, go out to, fancy dinners and they buy fancy bags and shoes. And, I can't tell you what to do with your money, but just understand that when you do those things, that is spending. When you invest in the right coach, the right mentor, the right course, that is investing, because you will see a return if you apply the knowledge, right? So if you don't apply it, then of course that's spending, but you learn and then you apply what you learn in order to receive that income back. So don't be afraid to invest in yourself, invest in your business, because like I said earlier, you can't try to do it on your own. You will waste time, you will waste money, and it will leave you with a lot of stress, a lot of headaches that you could avoid if you just would have invested in that mentor, invested in that coach.
Yes. Hey, or Chanel.
Hey, well, I just want to say, sorry, guys, I lost you for a few minutes and I had to find my way back. But I just want to say that we're responsible for this world that we live in. And if you and your family, which are the people that you do have control over, you got control over yourself and your household, we can create a new society, a new world where, the 1% isn't just having the total control over everybody else, over the 99%. I would love to see people come alive in this country and actually, just truly take the throne and how, the people should have it. I just want to say that we are responsible for this. We are responsible for societal norms. Okay. We can change what we consider to be a normalcy in this country. So keep that in mind as you're constantly going through trying to evolve as a business entrepreneur. Is just, faint not. If you faint not, all things will work together for you, and just be encouraged.
Yes, come on, Pastor. Miss Faye.
I just want to say, number one, as I said, when it comes to everything that we're dealing with, and this is to piggyback off of everything that's been said here from Madam President, Keisha, to Teddy, and Lene, it's about mindset. And it's about when your back is against a wall and they're telling you you're out of options, know that there are options and that you do have a choice. And that being said, you can always take advantage of what isn't happening in the market right now. Because as long as there is someone willing to buy something from you, you have a product. It's a matter of just figuring out what that product is. And I've been encouraging a lot of small business owners and those, old and new, right now with so much going on in this chaotic world, and mandate this and vaccine that, take advantage of what's not happening in your community. There's always an audience or a market to serve or service. They want restaurants closed. Fine, start a food truck. You know what I mean? They want to close restaurants, start a food truck. Cater, start your own catering company where you don't have to just DoorDash it, as the only other option out there. This is just one example. But take advantage of the market. As long as there's a product to be sold, you have a product. Steve Jobs, I believe it was someone who said that people don't know what they want. They don't know what they want until you stick it in front of them. As long as there is a market willing to buy something from you, you have a product. It's just figuring out what that product is. And take advantage of your community too. I think that's another thing that we need to do more of, especially now. We need our neighborhoods and our communities now more than ever, because what's happening is it's going to come down to us fighting the authoritarian rule, which is big government. And there's never been a time in the history of the world where tyranny has won, meaning those who have complied were the people that beat. It was everybody else that raged against the machine, but they had to come together to do it. And that's the part where we're kind of at an impasse on. And I feel as though once we realize that we do have choices and that we can exercise other options, we can really win. We can beat everything and we can rise above.
Yeah,
We are winners. Black people are the winners, okay? Thank you so much for tuning in to the Melanated Air Hour. You can definitely find us every Tuesday and Thursday. If you're watching if you saw something that you enjoyed, please reshare this, tag your friends and your families to it. Every week we will be coming, talking to you about what's happening in life, about what's happening in business, giving it to you from a Black woman's perspective, to help you be more innovative, to help you bring your vision to life, to help you solve the problems in your life, just to give you a different perspective on things that are happening in the melanin community, right? Myself, Teddy, Keisha, Faye, and Madam President. You can find us all online, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You see our handles. Please follow the ladies that are here. That is all we have for you today and this week, but make sure you put your notifications on or you set your watch so that you can find us every Tuesday and Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern. We will be here talking to you about something that's happening in our community. Again, Melanated Air, this is the hour where we just talk from a Black perspective and hope that you gain something from this. From the comments, we can see that you're enjoying it, that you're getting something from it, that the conversation is doing well. We're over in Liverpool, England. We are international. I saw Ghana on here earlier.
I
Rachel
love
said,
it.
our winners. Okay. With that, I hope you guys have a blessed rest of your day and an awesome weekend. And we'll see you guys on Tuesday of next week. Peace.
Bye.
bye.